So the Eagles are playing a lot of poker with what they were going to do with Nick Foles. Of course, Nick Foles is set to be a free agent this offseason, but the Eagles were out there kind of putting out there, telling teams that, hey, we're going to franchise tag this guy, and then we're going to make one of you teams basically go out and trade for him. And the Eagles, they were in a particularly weird situation because they are not in a very good cap situation. And I don't think unless they cut some players, I don't think they would have actually, by the rule, they would have actually been allowed to do it. And another thing is, if they would have franchise tagged Nick Foles, what would happen if they didn't meet a suitable trader that wanted to basically play a quarterback like Nick Foles, an average of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL money, and all of a sudden they're stuck with a super expensive backup quarterback? But it's not going to happen. They said today that they are not going to be franchise tagging him. So Nick Foles is set to become a free agent this offseason. So he is by far the most popular, or the best, I should say, quarterback that's going to be free agent this offseason. You know, a former Super Bowl winner. He's been really good with the Eagles. And it really begs the question, where is Nick Foles going to end up? There's really not all that many quarterback-hungry teams out there. You know, there's teams, of course, like Jacksonville. There's teams like the Washington Redskins, maybe even the Dolphins. Like the Giants are out there as was one of the potential teams that could go ahead and get him. But really, I mean, you look at this situation, you wonder, where is Nick Foles going to end up, and what kind of market is it going to demand? Is he going to demand? And I really go back and forth when it comes to Nick Foles, because I do really like the guy, but I wonder just how expensive is a guy like him going to be. And as time goes by, I really do think that Nick Foles is going to wind up being a Jaguar. And one big reason is really just because that the Jaguars coaching staff and just the Jaguars team, they went 5-11 last year. It was a super disappointing year. And guess what? If they go 5-11 again, every single person that is in charge of the Jacksonville Jaguars organization are probably going to get canned. You know, from Tom Coughlin to the general manager Dave Caldwell to Doug Marrone. You know, if they have another bad year, they're going to be canned. And I do really think that they think that the roster is really good. I think that whatever you guys believe, I think that Tom Coughlin and all of them think that their roster is set to win. So they're going to do whatever they can to get the best quarterback under center for their team. And if they draft Nick Foles, they're not going to be forced to use a lot of your draft assets to move up. You know, because if the situation does arise where, you know, you have Nick Foles, and then all of a sudden you can sit at number 7 and maybe a guy like Kyler Murray or Haskins can drop to you, even though I think Haskins is super unlikely to drop there. Even though Kyler Murray, I think the chance is a little bit more open for him to drop there. But really, I mean, for the Jaguars, they would have to package some picks and move up probably to like 4 or 5. And then all of a sudden, you know, you have your first-round pick. You also have a second-round pick. You have 2 third-round picks. So, you know, the Jaguars could be in a situation where they say, okay, we're going to hang tight at 7. You know, we're going to have Nick Foles on the roster. If, like, Dwayne Haskins falls to us there, that'll be good. But, you know, if not, we have a lot of draft capital to be able to sit there and not really have to blow, and we can get on, you know, players that we can turn into cornerstone pieces of our team. So it's an interesting situation with Nick Foles. Like, last year, Kirk Cousins got a bunch of guaranteed money. I think he signed like a 3-year, $90 million guarantee, 70. I don't know. I forget. It was something crazy. So I wonder what kind of contract that he's going to be able to get. That you know, Nick Foles is going to be able to get. You know, I don't know how good the market's going to be. The Giants already announced that they're going to be sticking with Eli Manning. The Washington Redskins went out and signed Alex Smith to a lot of money last year, so they have a lot of money kind of allocated to him. You know, we'll see if he's able to play this year or not. I know he had some kind of infection after his surgery or something like that, so we'll see with that. The Dolphins, all accounts over there, that they are going to actually be tanking this season because they like the quarterback crop coming out next year. So, you know, you look around and, like, there's really not that many teams that really need quarterbacks. I mean, you saw last year, you know, you had a bunch of teams. Like, you know, the Jaguars went and re-signed Blake Bortles. You had, you know, the Redskins go out and trade for, like, Alex Smith. You had the Vikings go out and sign Kirk Cousins. You had the Denver go and sign, like, Case Keenum. So you never know. I mean, there's some other options out there. Like, if you want to go cheaper than Nick Foles, you can go get like a Tyrod Taylor out there. or maybe even sign Sam Bradford. I know he'd probably be a super cheap option. After he got cut from the Cardinals last year, he didn't really pick up with anybody. So, those are all pretty cheap options. But, if you're going to get a guy like Tyrod Taylor or Sam Bradford, you're probably going to have to sign a quarterback because those guys are ultimately bridge quarterbacks. What you could potentially do, this isn't going to happen, but it's kind of funny to say. But what if they were to literally say, hey, we'll just a straight up trade for Blake Bortles for, Ryan Tannehill. They're basically the same as that quarterback. You do a trade for there, the rosters are, pretty similar. It'd be kind of funny. Not going to happen, but it's kind of funny. It's kind of fun to discuss. But, really, I think I really do think Nick Foles will actually end up being a Jaguar. I really do, just because of the urgency to win, just because he is the best quarterback out there. And, if you get a guy like, Tyrod Taylor or, Teddy Bridgewater or something like that, I think Teddy Bridgewater is the most overrated quarterback ever, in my opinion. I mean, the guy's done nothing, and everyone acts like he's this great quarterback. I mean, even when he led the Vikings to the playoffs, he had, more interceptions than, picks. I mean, he wasn't very impressive at all, but whatever. That's just my opinion on that. But yeah, those guys aren't going to require really you guys to draft a quarterback, and then the Jaguars can be more comfortable with not having to necessarily trade up to try to get their guys. So it's just my opinion. I think the Jaguars will wind up with Nick Foles. Now, hopefully, if they do get him, they only have to sign him to a 3-year deal as opposed to a 5-6 year deal where you're really committing to him. But we'll see. So yeah, that's kind of the news on that. Let me know what you guys think of Nick Foles and if you guys would want him in a Jaguars uniform. And this is UC at Jaguar with JinJag.com, and I'm out.